I'm beginning to feel like the old, the uncool old guy, bound by the innate logic that I've procured over the course of 4 decades of bumping my head along the way in every literal and metaphorical context possible. The industry, EUC, electric unicycles, is moving away from fun. Hear me out. Just hear me out. An obsession with high speed by a vocal minority has shifted the direction away from fun, novel, exciting, to aggressive and serious. A slew of frontliners screaming, "Take my money," no matter the price, has further exaggerated the issue of price and accessibility to new people who may want to try out the hobby. Maybe it's the rising cost of essentials like food, utilities, and rent that's got me thinking, or the interest rates that's really making it scary to think about stepping and owning anything. But either way, it's got me thinking about the cost of EUCs lately, and really that there's a whole segment being forgotten about. The beginner enthusiast. The people who see you riding down the street and they want to be able to play and have fun. But when you tell them the price of one of these things, they end up cringing. It is prohibitive for most people to buy a $3,000 toy for their kids when that's the cost of a used car or motorcycle. The cost and use case of the EUC being developed these days ensures that only people with vastly disposable income can enjoy the new things that come out. The average working human can't afford the injuries and time that come with practicing going the speeds that these machines are capable of. And then, when these machines are damaged from the proposed Fast and Furious use cases, well, then the repairs, they're twofold difficult. First, in price for parts, a lot of parts are like fixing a car in terms of expensive. Then, the additional technical know-how presents another hurdle. And while most repairs are rudimentary and straightforward, it is still challenging for people with no background in technical things. You see, when I got into this, I was what you would call a beginner. That seems plain enough, right? I wasn't just a beginner in terms of skills. I was a beginner in terms of investment. I didn't then, and I don't now, have the money to throw away on something I may never be able to learn. While most people seem to pick it up, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of people who just can't figure it out. Riding an EUC. And that right there is precisely how I ended up purchasing my first EUC, an InMotion V8 for $500. The guy who I purchased it from was so traumatized he didn't want to hear it when I turned it on to verify that it worked. Had this wheel been more expensive, I may not have been able to even try the hobby, and certainly if when I inspected the market and saw that there were wheels tipping the scales at $4,000, well, I would have been dissuaded completely, sure that really this was just not something I could enjoy. This brings me back to the beginner enthusiast. What do we say to the guy who just wants to ride around for 20 miles and hang out around town? Sure, Kingsong may have some options which seem attractive in the scope of power. For a beginner, the 84-volt systems are really easy to extract power from, so a new rider tends to have a lot of fun on an 84-volt system. And while more power can be found through the application of more voltage, the motors are a little less responsive and require more user input to get the same exact speed and agility from the wheel. Anyway, I digress. The wheels that Kingsong is making are still too expensive for the performance that they are offering. The value is inverse and makes no sense at all. So, while the product is aimed the right way regarding the S16 and the S19 being fun, low-powered, light-up novelties, they are both far too overpriced to be considered remotely viable in today's EUC climate. Begode, Well, I mean, they made the A2, the M10-4, and the M10-3, all geared at the beginner market. They did a great job, in fact, with the value proposition that really should have equalized things more than it did. But they took a shot at the beginner market and seemed to have cornered it with insane value propositions for the prices that they ask, all generally costing right around $1,000 or a little bit less. So, who will answer the call? Who will bring us that $1,600 beginner enthusiast wheel, a lightweight beginner experience that is exciting with no compromises, only scaled back for use case? You know, all we need is an 80 to 100 millimeter suspension travel, 1200 watt hour battery tops, an 84 volt or 100 volt system, maybe a 14-inch wheel so the feeling of torque really comes across. This would be amazing and super fun. A great wheel with plenty of range for the average city commuter. The lightweight would make it a convenience in any travel scenario. And additionally, its size would make it super easy for young people interested in joining the hobby to learn the full scope of what wheels can actually do. I mean, and wobbles. I mean, wobbles on a light wheel are far easier to manage. So, I don't think I'm the only person who wants this wheel. Alas. It'll be interesting to see what comes out in 2024. Hopefully more than just fast go faster. And that's right where the original script ended. I had no idea that the Falcon was coming. It's almost as if Bigode was like a psychic or something, or they just sensed it and knew it, but I had no idea that the Falcon was coming. So initially, this video was just going to be a call to action, or a request, a shot in the dark, a beg, a Hail Mary, a plead on bended knee. But I guess this video, this script is actually an introduction to what I think is going to be one of the funnest wheels of 2024. It's going to bring down the overall ceiling of speed during group rides, especially if it's used, during group rides. It'll make it fun to hang out and ride with one wheels. It's going to make it fun to, mosey along pedal events, bicycle events. It's just going to bring the ceiling of speed down and thus bring the ceiling of safety way higher. That doesn't seem like a big deal. But as a guy who really likes to rip, I do. Don't get me wrong, guys. I love to ride pretty fast. But I do it in the most controlled circumstances I can, man. I really try to do it at low traffic hours. I get some cool shots here and there, but I really try to do all of that in the most calculated spaces and ways possible when I'm getting those shots. But generally, I don't like to go fast next to people, next to traffic. And I certainly don't like to go really fast with my friends because I care for them. And I've had a friend fall and hurt himself really bad, and I had to help him. And it's just not as fun as you would think. It's all perfect in a vacuum called nothing ever happens. But if something happens, it's bad. So, I don't want to leave it on this somber note, but this wheel is going to make it so much more fun to just hang out and do wheel life the right way, without being an inconvenience, a nuisance, a pest, or a danger to the people and places around you. So, thanks so much to Jason over at eWheels for really pushing for this. After I found out about it, I kind of asked a couple of questions here and there, and it looks like Jason really pushed for this wheel. I'm not the only person who wanted this wheel, and the community's really been looking forward to it. So, I'm not going to really do a whole spec over analysis. I think it goes 43 mile an hour, the free spin. It got 1,600 dollars is the price, 900 watt hour battery, right? And then the last thing that was the quick fast notice was like, it was like 80 millimeters of suspension travel or something like that. Really love the way that it looks. Definitely go and check it out. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out and vibing with me. Look forward to talking to you again soon. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And what do you think? I mean, I really like, what do you think? Are you as excited as I am to have this wheel come to market? Or are you guys like, pish posh, we need the speed, we need the speed? I mean, like, where's your heads at? I want to know. Take care. Till next time, stay safe, all right? Later.